all he's doing is making public statements. So it's more, bombastic language that he's using. I mean, his lawyers are getting into it. Like, there was almost a physical confrontation in Texas between his lawyer and the other side. I mean, this isn't the way to try cases if you're looking to win. So it seems to me they're looking to lose because it's just more money piled on against the company, and they can walk away from it without any problems. But it seems like they don't really care because the parent companies are shell companies, and looks like Alex Jones is going to still walk away very wealthy from all of this.
Well, today could be a pivotal day in two defamation lawsuits against radio host Alex Jones, who falsely claimed the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax. Now, he's already been found liable in both cases. Jurors will now decide just how much money he has to pay out to the families. On Friday, his media company filed for bankruptcy. So for more on this, we want to bring in Wall Street criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor in Harvard Law, teaching faculty, Vinoo Varghese. Vinoo, it's great to see you. Great to talk to you about this. So Alex Jones has already been found guilty sort of by default because he made it so difficult to kind of proceed with the trial that eventually the judge just said, you know what, you're guilty. Let's move on to the next phase, essentially. I know I'm using kind of loose language here. So here we are now. Can you explain the legal strategy of Alex Jones filing for bankruptcy now?
So you got to wonder if this whole thing is just some grand, brilliant plot or scheme by Alex Jones and his lawyers, or just something colossally stupid. And it's hard to figure that out. As I'm sitting here watching this stuff or reading about it, I'm wondering what's the big plan here, because they could have potentially won these trials, but it seems the filing of bankruptcy in this case, particularly for Free Speech Systems, the parent company, and earlier they had the InfoWars filing, is seen to protect Alex Jones and other key people in the company themselves. Mm-hmm. I think that they don't care if these companies go down, because ultimately they're judgment proof. There was an article yesterday in the Wall Street Journal within the last 12 hours that it says that the lawyers for the Sandy Hook families are claiming that the money was taken out to basically protect Alex Jones. So that may be what's going on here. And what this does is, in a sense, like, all he's doing is making public statements. So it's more, bombastic language that he's using. I mean, his lawyers are getting into it. Like, there was almost a physical confrontation in Texas between his lawyer and the other side. I mean, this isn't the way to try cases if you're looking to win. So it seems to me they're looking to lose because it's just more money piled on against the company, and they can walk away from it without any problems.
That is so interesting. And, you're right in that he could have sort of went forward in arguing sort of freedom of expression, right? And, hey, I'm a host, I'm just doing it, this is my shtick. But instead, they just failed to provide requested emails and just made it very, very difficult to proceed. And so that's why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in. Now, the families are asking for $150 million in the Connecticut case, right? Can you break down just why they're asking for that number specifically, and what hurdles may be in the way when it comes to getting the full amount that they're asking for? I was listening to a conversation about this and about, when we're talking about a public figure saying they've been defamed, things could get complicated. They are kind of public figures, but they're not. They're also private citizens.
So this is where it gets interesting, because if he actually had litigated this, they could have argued that these people, the parents, had become temporary public figures, and then Jones would be held to a higher standard showing actual malice. This is what happened in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, where Depp was able to prove actual malice in the statements and writing of Amber Heard's op-ed to publicly defame him. So they could have argued that, and they probably had a decent argument that because the parents got into the national gun debate, that they themselves became public figures, so it was harder to prove actual malice. But they didn't want to fight it and they got defaulted, which leads me to believe, I mean, the only reasonable inference from that is that there's stuff that is in their internal documents and communications that show that they knew exactly what they were doing, and the parents are probably correct. Now, in terms of the money, I mean, parents are correct that this was a false propaganda statement and done by Alex Jones.
Right.
But the question of how you quantify this to $150 million, that's something for a jury to decide. It's probably something that could be reversed. There are formulas used by courts to determine what's reasonable here. And so it probably will seem like they'll get that judgment. And then if they really want to reverse it, they'll challenge that on appeal. But it seems like they don't really care because the parent companies are shell companies. And looks like Alex Jones is going to still walk away very wealthy from all of this.
Wow. Vinoo, Varghese, this is so interesting. I'm glad you could join us this morning. Thank you.
Great to see you.